Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night. It's lovely to have you guys in here for the final show of the primetime week. My God, the final primetime of the football season. How about that? There will be no Sunday night primetime because, of course, it's Super Bowl Sunday, and I would not do that to Bert. I would not do that to me. I would not do that to you. So, of course, we will have Sunday evening off. But, yeah, the last primetime of the football season. What a weird football season it has been. So the Titans are trying to correct all the weirdness about what their 2023 was and get their 2024 right. A huge part of that is Will Levis. You will hear from him. Jim Wyatt of the team's website caught up with Levis at the Super Bowl on the quarterback's thoughts on his new head coach. First time we've heard from Levis to that effect. We will talk about the hiring grades is what that's supposed to say. I apparently have dyslexia and it says hires grades. So whatever the hell that means. Either way, we're going to grade the coordinator hires for the Titans at the midway point. Little weekend bounce back, get you into your Super Bowl weekend, and, we'll have a great time doing it. Before we get started, need you guys to share this show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you are spending your time with us this evening. We are always grateful when you share the show around. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left. YouTube or Twitch, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know the vibes. We always love when you guys share the show around. We always love seeing new people, reading new names, new handles that we see streaming across in the chat section. The chat section, always creative, always inventive. What makes this show so fun? Okay, welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, if you're new, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the great folks at Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN for the big game. Get in on your big game wagers. Zen Sports has you covered. Up to $1,000 on your no danger first wager in the Zen Sports app. Promo code ATOZTN. And, of course, TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. That's what TrueMath Fitness has you covered for. So, with Levis, with Callahan, with all the different changes that are going on in this offseason, it's a pretty pivotal time of transition for the Tennessee Titans. Now, every team goes through transitions on an annual basis, right? Teams change course over the course of a regular season, whether it's in-season firings, benchings, quarterback changes, injuries, all these different things that can account for. So it's a constantly evolving thing. But it's a pretty big shift that they're making from Brian Callahan, or rather from Mike Vrabel to Brian Callahan, and how this is going to play itself out and how all of it is done with the emphasis on improving the offense, on improving the level of quarterback play, on maximizing the level of quarterback play that this franchise is currently getting from Will Levis. So, like most NFL superstars or stars, he's not a superstar, he's a starting quarterback. And he's an exciting starting quarterback. So that is worth selling. You don't see, actually, Jimmy Garoppolo probably should be making the rounds more at the Super Bowl. Maybe Jimmy G doesn't need the money and Levis is still on a rookie deal. So he's making that ad revenue. Levis is at the Super Bowl. He's taken part in a number of different events. Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com caught up with Will Levis. And the question I want to ask you is this before we play the audio or the video. What excites you most about the Brian Callahan hire? We'll talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is presented by Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet offers you. Go to tworiversford.com and find out how you want to get into your next Ford vehicle. Here is Will Levis with Jim Wyatt at the Super Bowl talking about Brian Callahan and a number of different things that have transpired since the last time we heard from the rookie quarterback. I guess he's no longer a rookie on locker room cleanout day.
I mean, it's a business, and, there's all these decisions that are made each and every year, and, definitely was surprising. And there was that kind of limbo period of like, what's going to happen to everyone else? Like, once we hire somebody and all that. So it was definitely a little uncomfortable just because, we have no say in all of it. And a lot of the times we're figuring this stuff out, on social media before anyone else even gets the chance to tell us. So it's tough. And, we all, love playing for Coach Braves, but, we know Miss Amy and, the front office and everybody in the organization has a plan for us. And I know that I'm part of the plan, and for her to, think of me and include me in it, it's really special, makes me want to work even harder for it. Yeah, I was literally getting changed after a workout, and it was the first time I met him, and with his son and his wife, and it was awesome. And I've been able to speak with him a few times since then, and he's keeping me in the loop with all the hires and how excited he is about everyone that we're bringing in on the staff. And looking forward to having the rest of it ironed out, and I think everyone will be in there on Tuesday, it looks like. So getting everyone in there and getting started with the learning of the offense and everything. I'm pumped. I mean, he's been able to work with such a great amount of quarterbacks in the short career that he's had, and it gets you excited when you see the track record and you see the stats, and when you start watching the film of just how he's able to run an offense and do it really well at a high level efficiently. So I'm excited to work for him and hopefully be that next guy that people mention, of guys that he's had under his belt. I'm not satisfied. I mean, I know that, we knew that we had the opportunity to win a lot more games than we did, but, you can't fret about those things. All you can do is look at the tape and do what you can to improve on what you want to. I mean, for me, it's for one, it's getting healthy, which I'm close to now, which is a great feeling. Having my body feel this way and as good as it has for the first time in 25 weeks or so is really cool. And I'm looking forward to just getting my athleticism back a little bit and getting my legs back and being able to be more kind of 360 player than I was this past year.
So that's Will Levis at the Super Bowl, again, courtesy of Jim Wyatt at J Wyatt Sports. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by Zen Sports. Gamble on the big game. Wager on the big game with Zen Sports, up to $1,000 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply when you use that promo code ATOZTN. It is the best place for you to wager on all your favorite major sports. ZenSports.com/VIP is how you can enter your Zen Sports play if it qualifies for VIP considerations and all the great comps, boosts, and promos that come as a part of that deal. ATOZTN, Zen Sports is the app. Download it today. Must be 21 or up in Tennessee. To bet gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So that's Will Levis talking about Brian Callahan, and it should be exciting for him, right? Like it's probably a pretty tough thing for somebody, especially for as seriously as he seems to take all of this. And he's more mature than your average rookie. He's 24, right? And he's not Anthony Richardson coming in at age 20 before he's legally able to drink. How much different of a person are you from 20 to 24 and 24 to 28 and 28 to 32, right? Like, it's just, he's in a different stage of his life, and I think he handles a lot of it. You can tell that he handles a lot of it that way, that the moment hasn't ever really felt too big for him necessarily, yeah? But I'd imagine that for somebody who takes it as seriously as he does, that seeing your coach fired after vocalizing your support for that coach on locker room cleanout day, that's probably a pretty jarring experience to have happen after your rookie year. So transition is difficult on any of those guys, I'm sure, who like Mike Vrabel, and Levis was somebody who did. But now he'll have the opportunity to succeed in a system that is going to be to his great benefit, it seems. There will be some growing pains for both Callahan as a head coach, for their offensive coaching staff, who they've continued to fill out. They've hired their quarterbacks coach today. Bo is his first name. I'm blanking on his last name. I will look that up quickly so I don't forget before we end the primetime show. But the offensive coordinator in place in Nick Holtz, the defensive coordinator in place, and now Bo Hardegree is how I think I pronounce the new quarterbacks coach of the Tennessee Titans. He was the interim OC for the Raiders. He's been in the league for a long, long time, has experience in college too. Very gifted offensive mind, quarterback mind, who helped Aiden O'Connell as a 5th-round pick win 5 games for the Raiders last year. No small thing. So we'll keep an eye on that. Speaking of hires, let's talk about hiring grades. How would you grade the Titans hires based on, well, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question myself about Brian Callahan. What most excites me about Brian Callahan is what the potential for Will Levis is ultimately what my answer is. I think that this is a player that can really, really be at a high level. I think he's a more refined version of what Josh Allen was coming into the league. Now, I don't know that he's not the athlete that Josh Allen is, but the arm talent is so special. And if they can fine tune the accuracy, it's not something that appears to be, if they can just better put him in better positions to succeed, I guess is what I'm trying poorly to say. I don't know how much they can improve his accuracy. Ultimately, that's upon him and the level of consistency, how often he works on things like footwork, timing, marrying his eyes with his feet, all these different things that you hear quarterback coaches talk about. And he seems very diligent with that, at least, as what we can follow along on Instagram and what we know about him. He's got great work ethic, and I hear about him being in the building all the time, all manner of hours, and not having left Nashville really other than a bit of a getaway, as they all do at the end of the season before coming right back here to get to work and be in the building, because I think he wants to be, close to this stuff, as he should be, especially with a coaching staff change. So I think the thing that most excites me about Callahan is the potential for Levis, and I'd like to see that manifest itself in year one, even if that doesn't fully equate to more wins than losses out of the gate. We'll see, though. I think provided they hit the draft class, there are plenty of reasons for optimism with them right now. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about grades for the hires of the Titans offensive coordinator, Nick Holtz, and the defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson. How would you grade those two? So 2 hires, 1 grade. Give me your grades in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I'll give you mine momentarily, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free. That's awesome. Nothing beats free. At True Math Fitness, they will treat you the best possible way. They will get you in the best possible position to succeed, to maximize your fitness goals. True Math Fitness always has workouts that are never recycled or repeated. True Math is there for you, conveniently located in downtown Nashville in the Gulch. TrueMathFitness.com, where your first workout is free. Sign up for a membership today. So Nick Holtz, first-time OC. Denard Wilson, first-time DC. Denard Wilson, somebody who was wanted by a lot of teams, interviewed in a lot of different places, Rams, Packers, Giants, and ultimately decided that the Titans were the place for him. He himself does not have previous work experience with Brian Callahan, but that is somebody that Rand Carthon has connections with, going back to their time together with the Rams. The offensive side of the coaching staff is the same in that they all have connections to Brian Callahan, all having crossed paths, it seems most of them, if not all of them, in Denver at some point in time on that Broncos Super Bowl winning team, or what ended up being a Broncos Super Bowl winning team. So now they bring in the quarterbacks coach today, or they hire the quarterbacks coach today, and all that to say, the coordinators are still going to be the focal point. Now, they're first-time guys, so we don't necessarily know how to grade them on their acumen as play callers, on their feel, on their sense for it, right? The intangible stuff. But on their resumes, let's start out first and foremost, and how they gel with what this coaching staff projects to look like. We'll take your grades in the comment section. For me personally, I think a C+ is fair. I don't know that they hurt themselves by having a play calling head coach for the first time, a first-time head coach, a first-time OC at the NFL level, and a first-time defensive coordinator at the NFL level, all in those roles for the first time, and not some kind of veteran presence in some shape or form. Now, they do have those, right? Bill Callahan, Brian's father, former NFL head coach, successful coach in the pros, less so in college at Nebraska, but understands all the rhythms, how to make this thing work, been around football his entire life. Callahan himself a football lifer. So it's not like they're inexperienced, right? We just don't necessarily know how they're going to be at the art. It's an art of calling plays. So with that, it's tough. It's tough to give them anything above. I mean, I would struggle to give them anything above a B. Even if you're most optimistic, there's just so many unknowns about that. But a C+ because Holtz is someone who I think they might have had, I don't know how much more valuable the connection, the relationship, especially given that they're going to be, the OC and play calling head coach in the same form, same mind meld type of stuff as Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor were. And those two clearly have a very, very close relationship. So their time going back to high school, going back to the Denver staff, right? I don't know how much Holtz and Callahan, how that relationship amplifies what it is that Holtz is himself. But there's reasons for optimism there. I'm less enthused, I guess, about the OC than I am about the DC because Denard Wilson is somebody who has a track record. Should have been a defensive coordinator, it sounds like, long before this at 41 years old, and is very, very well regarded in all manner of different stops, whether it's the Jets, the Ravens, the Eagles. He's had success everywhere that he's been. So Denard Wilson is the more attractive candidate, I guess, on face value, the more wanted candidate by a variety of different organizations. But, we'll find out how critical to the process. Well, we may never find out exactly how critical Nick Holtz is to the process, because I'm sure it's his hope to become either a play calling head coach himself one day or an offensive coordinator that gets to call his own plays or whatever that looks like, that he is looking for a career stepladder and that this might be one for him. But we'll find out. So based on that, I think a C+. I think a C+ is fair. Now, to hear Trevor Lawrence talk about Nick Holtz, who, of course, Holtz was on the Jag staff as the passing game coordinator last year. Trevor Lawrence at the Super Bowl, also with Jimmy Wyatt, expanding on the new Titans OC.
Yeah, he was great. Obviously our time was brief in Jacksonville together, but just a really good guy for one. I think he's going to, as far as the culture that they're trying to build in Tennessee, I'm sure he's going to help and contribute with that. He's really smart, knows his stuff, and I think he's going to be good. It's a good opportunity for him. It seems like the staff that they're bringing in Tennessee is good, and obviously it's going to be a challenging matchup for us, as it always is. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff. He worked closely with the press, obviously, so that communication was a lot. He did a good bit of our situational stuff during the week to prepare for the games, wherever that changed, whether it was, in the game, 2-minute, different situations like that, or some red zone stuff. So he helped with a lot of that stuff, and obviously you never want to lose a guy, and I'm happy for him for the opportunity, though. Got brought up just because, I know Nick went there and we started talking about it, and just told him pretty much the same thing that we're talking about. Great guy, it's going to be fun to be around, and things going to help him. I think, playing quarterback in this league is hard, but it's really about just improving every year, and I think that, I don't know him super well, but it seems like he has the right attitude and mindset, and he has the right attitude about just going to work and wanting to improve on all the little things. And I think if he does that, obviously he's got all the talent in the world, and I think he's a great player and just going to continue to get better. Unfortunately for us, he's in our division. So, but as a person, I'm rooting for him and definitely wish him the best of luck.
So that is Trevor Lawrence at the Super Bowl with Jim Wyatt. We'll see how the coordinators for the Titans play out. All right, weekend bounce back. Speaking of Levis and Lawrence, they were interviewed together because they were at the same event together. It was a ping pong tournament, as a matter of fact, and we'll see who played the winner between these two AFC South competitors here in just a second, right after I remind you, by the way, who needs to bounce back this weekend in sports. You give me your answers, and I'll tell you about the answer to all your real estate questions. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com. Go there for the intel edge you need to sell your home. Don't sell without the intel that you can only get at GaryAshton.com. Who needs to bounce back most in sports this weekend? Well, I think it's Trevor Lawrence, because Will Levis went head-to-head with him in a game of Super Bowl ping pong, and you can see who ended up the victor.
Performances tonight, but the worst is easily Tom Fleming. The coin flip was very bad. Will Levis with it. Will starting off fast. Swiffer, clean. The rookie knows what he. Oh my goodness. And we had a Swiffer serve. He needed that serve bad. Oh! Will Levis is here to play. Our cameraman is here to play. Our cameraman almost got decapitated. Will Levis is here to play. Whatever scouting report he was talking about, he's definitely on it right now. I didn't see this level of playing doubles. You know in wrestling, whenever someone doesn't get a point, they lose Great job, Trevor. Goodness. He might have gotten in his head right now. If you get to see this comeback right here from Trevor Lawrence, maybe he just needed to get warmed up. Will Levis the ball drop, dude. It's almost like you don't know where it's going.
So we got the swagger ball coming out, guys.
The favorites in this tournament. Right here. Close.
He has the paddle down. Will Levis with the upset over Trevor Lawrence.
The members only bounced off the net, had a little hoop on it, and you gotta wonder if the difference in the weight room was the difference.
So that is Will Levis dispatching with Trevor Lawrence, an AFC South showdown at the Super Bowl ping pong. Levis in just demonstrative fashion. Never seen so many spikes in a ping pong game. Hyper aggressive, hyper competitive ping pong game. The only thing that I've seen that hyper competitive with athletes outside of football or football players outside of football is Taylor Lewan's Beer Olympics tournament, where there were a great many professional athletes competing with a great many people who were not professional athletes. And it was, it's always pretty shocking when you are in a real life Joes versus pros scenario and you realize just how big of a Joe, or maybe small of a Joe, you are compared to the actual pros. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight on Primetime. Have a great Super Bowl weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We will get back with you on Monday. I've got some time off. That's not until, I think that is the end of next week. So we will reconvene about the primetime schedule. We'll talk about it on Monday. After you've enjoyed your Super Bowl Sunday, I will look forward to catching up with you guys then. Radio show from 10 to 1 tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone. We'll break down the game itself with Coach Dave McGinnis, and we will look forward to the last football game of the season. It's always fun, but it's there's a little bit of, it's like seasonal depression, right? It's just like when you go into winter and the days end at 4:30 in the afternoon Central Time and all these different things, and it just brings you down a little bit. Just brings you down a little bit until you get to the draft, and it ramps right back up. Have a great rest of your evening, great weekend, and Super Bowl Sunday. I'll see you guys at some point in the next couple of days here on the Primetime Show.
Ready, go!